We say shalom, shalom to the whole house of Yasha'al. Good evening, La'ila Tub, rather, to the whole Bayith, the whole house of Yasha'al, all 12 tribes, worldwide, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this evening. Peace and blessings to you, shalom and barakut to you and your entire house. Shalom to the elder Ak, Yahudah. Shalom to the younger Ak, Ephraim. Shalom to the former stranger, the former foreigner, the former Gentile, the former nation, who is no longer a foreigner or a stranger. In other words, no longer estranged from the everlasting covenant, no longer a Gentile, no longer a nation, but having received the Ruach of adoption, which is the Ruach HaKadosh, the spirit of the Mashiach, and having been engrafted into the olive tree, which is Yasha'al, which is the second Adam, and whereby becoming firstborn sons, and whereby becoming fellow partakers and fellow citizens of Yasha'al and fellow partakers of the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shalom to you. Peace and blessings to your house. Shalom and barakut to you wherever your feet are touching the soil on this evening. Shalom, shalom to you worldwide. Once again, we thank those of you who will listen to this later on YouTube. We're grateful that Yahuwah has sent you to share in our midweek gathering. For those of you who are on YouTube who are interested in joining us live, you can find my contact information in the channel description. You can find my contact information there. Nevertheless, we're grateful for those of you on YouTube who will listen to this later on and who are joining Yahuwah's Remnant midweek gathering. I am Dawood Ban Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha Ashiyah.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom to you. Shalom. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. So this night in this midweek gathering, we are exactly 4 weeks away. 4 weeks away from today. We're exactly 4 weeks away from Pasakh. Pasakh, again, if you understand Abba's fixed eternal calendar, Pasakh always occurs on the fourth night because Yahusha was slaughtered on the fourth night, and any other day is the wrong day. Any other day is an abominable day. And so from tonight, we are 4 weeks out from Pasakh. Last week, Yahuwah, 7 months ago, on this ancient path, Yahuwah began the preparation for Pasakh and bringing us back to the ancient path. And as was mentioned last week, those who have been walking the ancient path should have by now have been taking a 7-month shower and a 7-month bath. Nevertheless, as mentioned last week, I'm under no illusion that most have been adhering to the washing of the word and have been allowing it to wash them. And for that purpose, Yahuwah has sent me back tonight he has sent me back tonight with another message with respect to Pasakh preparation. Last week, Abba spoke to us about washing our hands, making sure that our hands were clean. And he showed us that it wasn't the physical hands that he is interested in, as the Pharisees thought. They thought that if they did not wash their hands, that somehow made them unclean, and that somehow made the food unclean of which they were partaking. Yahusha explained to them that it's not the washing of the hands that defiled you when you eat the food. That doesn't make the food unclean, but it is what proceeds from the heart that defiles you. If your heart is unclean, then what proceeds from the heart is unclean. This is where crime originates. It originates in the heart. And so if your heart is unclean, if your heart is uncircumcised, then you are unclean. You are uncircumcised. And he admonished us that last week that no one unclean may partake of his offering. No one unclean may partake of his offering. The one partaking of his offering who is unclean, the Torah says that that being shall be cut off. In other words, that being shall be cut down. That being shall be destroyed. That being shall be killed. This is no joking matter. This is no joking matter. He has shown us that this is a mu'adah, that this is an appointed time, and that he is no longer winking. He has grown quite tired of people lightly esteeming his kadush things. And so it is my belief that he is going to, as he has already shown, that he's going to start making a distinction. And some folk are going to start he's going to cut them down because they are lightly esteeming his kadush things. They're lightly esteeming them, not discerning the body of the Messiah. They are lightly esteeming his kadush things. And so tonight he sent me back with another Pasakh message, with another Pasakh preparation message, and a warning. And a warning for those who are aspiring to keep the Pasakh. It is both preparation and a warning for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. For those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. Before we get started, let me preface this with something. And this goes out to the four corners of the earth. Let me preface this with something. I am no scholar. I am not a scholar. I have never been a scholar. Anything that I profess to know, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Everything that you hear, it comes from my Father. He puts it in me. He teaches me. I have no understanding of my own. I have no knowledge of my own. I am nothing but a dirt, earthen vessel through whom he speaks through. I am no scholar. I am no scholar. I am a messenger. Hear me. I'm no scholar. I am a messenger. You are hearing his words, not mine. And if you understand that I am no scholar, that I am a messenger, then you will in turn give esteem to whom esteem is due. And that is to my Father Yahuwah. I am just a messenger. Nothing more, nothing less. I am just a messenger. What you hear and what you are going to hear tonight does not come from any deep studying and meditation. What you're going to hear tonight comes directly from my Father. He puts it in me to give it to you. In fact, most of it came to his servant yesterday. Well, some of it came to his servant yesterday, and a lot of it he gave to me today. It doesn't come from deep study and opening many books. I cannot read right now. My eyes are dim. I cannot see words or even the book that contains the words. He speaks to me. I'm just a messenger. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. So when you hear his words, they're his words. Give him esteem. Esteem him and not the messenger in whom he's using. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. With that said, last week, Abba, he showed us that in order to keep the Pasakh, that one must be circumcised. That one must be circumcised. And in that message, he showed us that it's not the circumcision of the flesh that he's concerned with, but rather the circumcision of the heart. But rather the circumcision of the heart. And Abba's going to speak through his servant a little bit more about that tonight in preparing us for the coming Pasakh. In preparing us for the coming Pasakh, which is a very important Pasakh, because as Abba has spoken through his servant, that this is a mu'adah, this is a jubilee year, this is a Jubileem, a Yubal year, a 50th year. And so he's not winking no more. He's not winking no more. And we must make sure, ensure that we are properly prepared and properly washed and cleansed and circumcised in order to partake of his kadosh things. We must ensure this. We must ensure this. And so if you're taking notes, the title of tonight's message is, Are You Not Ashamed? Are you not ashamed? Pasakh preparation. Are you not ashamed? It's a question. Are you not ashamed? Pasakh preparation. Are you not ashamed? Pasakh preparation. Pasakh preparation. Before we get into the precepts, let us understand something. The Hebrew or the Abrahamic word for circumcised is the Hebrew word mul. Mul. M-U-L. Mul. Mul. Mam u lamet. Mam u lamet. Mul. Mul. This is the Hebrew or Abrahamic word for circumcised. And in this word, when we break down the individual letters, Abba will show us, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear and an understanding heart, that it's not the circumcision of the flesh that he's concerned with, but rather the circumcision of the heart. The flesh profits nothing. It profits nothing. And so when looking at this word mul, mam u lamet, we understand that mam is represented by water. Water is always a representation of spirit. So automatically off top, you know that this is spiritual. This is spiritual. In fact, if you understand Torah, then you understand that Torah, the word Torah, which means instruction. Torah means instructions. But Torah are practical instructions from our Father with a deeper spiritual connotation. So they are practical instructions. He gives us practical instructions, that even a child could understand, so that from learning these practical instructions, that he can teach us deeper spiritual connotation, a deeper spiritual connotation from these practical instructions. Yes, that's the purpose. That's the purpose. And so for those who are strictly adhering to the letter, you are missing the point. You are missing the point that the letter, I'm not dismissing the letter. Don't say that I am. The letter, however, are merely practical instructions with a deeper spiritual connotation. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So in looking at mul, the word for circumcision, the Hebrew word for circumcision, mam, which again is represented by water. And water is always a representation of ruach. So off top, we know that this circumcision is ruach and not one made of flesh. The u is represented by a tent peg or a nail. It is used to affix something, a joint. The lamet is represented by a shepherd's staff. And so we know then that it is the circumcision that joins us in ruach to our shepherd, not one made of flesh, but one made of ruach. This is spirit. This is spirit. He is spirit. And those who worship him must worship him in spirit, in ruach and truth. Everything is spirit. Everything is ruach. The Torah is ruach. The Torah, he merely gives us again these practical instructions, the pashat, the surface meaning, in order to direct us to a deeper ruach, like a spiritual connotation. It is the ruach that gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The flesh profits nothing. Nevertheless, the Hebrew or Abrahamic word for uncircumcised is the Hebrew word aral. Aral. A-R-A-L. Aral. Aleph, Rash, Lamet. Aleph, Rash, Lamet. When we look at this word and we break down the individual letters, the Aleph is represented by an ox, and it is representative of power. When we look at the Aleph, this is always a representation of Yahuwah, because he is the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the everlasting covenant. And so Aleph is always a representation of Yahuwah. Rosh means head or beginning. This also represents Yahuwah. He is the head and the beginning of all. The Lamed is a shepherd's staff, and it again points towards Yahuwah as our shepherd. And so Arah, the Hebrew word for uncircumcised, also has a spiritual connotation. It also has a spiritual connotation. When we look in the physical at an uncircumcised man, it denotes uncleanness. It denotes nakedness. How do you say? Because an uncircumcised penis, and I don't mean to be graphic, but I have to speak this so that you have an understanding. With an uncircumcised penis, the skin can be pulled out doing what? Exposing the penis, exposing the inner penis, exposing nakedness. But when the penis is circumcised and it is cut, there is a cut made, then you can no longer draw the skin back and you can no longer expose nakedness. Thus, a circumcised man is clean. He is no longer naked. He is what? He is clothed. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He is clothed. Whereas an uncircumcised man is not clothed. He is naked. He is naked. And this is seen as uncleanness. This is seen as uncleanness. But it is not the physical mashpaka that he's concerned about. He's concerned about the heart and circumcising the heart and making sure that the heart is clothed in righteousness and making sure that it is circumcised and not naked and unclean, as the Hebrew word mul denotes, as the Hebrew or Abraite word mul denotes. And so nakedness is uncleanness. Nakedness is uncleanness. It is unclean. And we are to cover ourselves. Indeed, if most adults, if they are naked, this is shameful for them. Now, it's shameful if you're not a Gentile. The Gentiles are not ashamed of nakedness. No, they're not. We're going to talk more about this. The Gentiles are not ashamed of nakedness, but if you're in covenant with Yahuwah, then there's something about being naked that you're just ashamed of. Most people, however, there is a level or a limit in which they won't go past, because they are ashamed of nakedness, especially as that relates to being naked in public. Nakedness is shameful. It is shameful. It is a shameful thing to be naked in public. Moreover, if you're naked in public, they even have laws against that. They call it what? Indecent exposure. Yes, they do. Yes, they do, and they'll lock you up for that. But first, they'll put some clothes on you, and they'll lock you up. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And so nakedness is supposed to be shameful. I pray you're getting this. Nakedness is supposed to be shameful. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We're going to get into this. We got 24 precepts to talk about this night. We're going to get in this. I'm just laying the foundation, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. But nakedness, understand, is considered to be shameful. It is considered to be unclean, as with an uncircumcised man exposing the naked penis, as opposed to a circumcised man whose penis has been cut and the skin is grown to in such a manner that he can no longer expose the nakedness of the penis, and thus he is considered unclean, and the uncircumcised man is considered unclean. However, hear me, hear Abba. He's not concerned with your circumcised or uncircumcised penis. He is concerned if whether or not your heart is circumcised or uncircumcised. He is concerned with whether or not your heart is circumcised or uncircumcised. So as mentioned, Abba needed to lay that foundation before we get into this. There are 24 precepts that are going to speak to this and that are going to prepare us for Pasakh. Are you not ashamed? Pasakh Preparation. Are you not ashamed? Pasakh Preparation. Turn, Mashpaka, and as last week, we got 24 precepts, so we're going to call out the precept, and then we're going to get into it, so it's not to prolong the time as longer than it already needs to be. But the first precept is Bereshith, chapter 2. What verse is, little one?
1 through 25.
1 through 25. We're reading the entire chapter of Bereshith, Genesis, the second chapter. Bereshith, Genesis, the second chapter, verses 1 through 25. We're reading the entire chapter. Beginning at verse 1, we read,
Thus the heavens and the earth were completed, and all their array. And in the seventh day Elohim completed his work which he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And Elohim blessed the seventh day and kadushed it, because on it he rested from all his work which Elohim in creating had made. These are the births of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in that day that Yahuwah Elohim made earth and heaven. Now no shrub of the field was yet on the earth, and no plant of the field had yet sprung up. For Yahuwah Elohim had not sent rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the entire surface of the ground. And Yahuwah Elohim formed the man out of dust from the ground, and breathed into his nostrils breath of lives, and the man became a living being. And Yahuwah Elohim planted a garden in Adan to the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground Yahuwah Elohim made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, with the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Adan to water the garden, and from there it divided and became four heads. The name of the first is Pashun. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Kawalah, where there is gold, and the gold of the land is good. Beldalam is there, and the Shahum stone. And the name of the second river is Gahum. It is the one surrounding the entire land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Kadekal. It is the one which goes toward the east of Ashur. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him in the garden of Adan to work it and to guard it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man,
listen, saying, Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man. He's getting ready to speak Torah. He's getting ready to speak Torah to this man. He's getting ready to speak light to this man. Oh, you see, it is Torah that exposes nakedness. Come on, read.
Eat of every tree of the garden.
Eat of every tree of the garden.
But do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
But do not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You have the Torah now, man. You have the instruction. Obey it. Read.
For in the day that you eat of it,
yes,
you shall certainly die. And Yahuwah Elohim said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I am going to make a helper for him as his counterpart. And from the ground Yahuwah Elohim formed every beast of the field and every bird of the heavens, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called each living being, that was his name. So the man gave names to all the livestock and to all the birds of the heavens and to every beast of the field. But for the man there was not found a helper for him as his counterpart. So Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall on the man, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from the man he made into a woman. And he brought her to the man. And the man said, this is now bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. This one is called woman because she was taken out of man. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, yet they were not ashamed.
Listen, they were both naked, yet they were not ashamed. Listen, in the book of Jubilees, and we're going to read a little bit of that, it states that they were in the garden for 7 years. 7 years they were in the garden, tilling the garden. And as long as they obeyed the voice of Yahuwah, the command of Yahuwah, his Torah, there was no shame. There was no nakedness revealed. The nakedness is revealed when we sin, when we disobey Torah. This is when the nakedness is revealed. They were naked and were not ashamed. because they were obeying the voice of Yahuwah. The question for you, though, are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? They were not ashamed because they were obeying the voice of Yahuwah, and there was nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. No nakedness was exposed. Nothing to see here. Because you are walking in my light, you are obeying my voice. You're obeying my voice. Chapter 3, verses what, little one?
1 through 21.
Verses 1 through 21. Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 21. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And the Nakash was more crafty than all the lives of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said to the woman, is it true that Elohim has said, do not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the Nakash, we are to eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, do not eat of it, nor touch it, lest you die. And the Nakash said to the woman, you shall certainly not die. For Elohim knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes shall be open, and you shall be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made loin coverings for themselves. It
is the Torah now, disobedience to Torah, which exposes nakedness. And so when you're talking about Pasakh preparation, you want to be prepared for Pasakh. You compare yourself to the Torah. You compare yourself to the Torah. And if your nakedness is exposed, then you understand what needs to be covered. You understand what needs to be covered. It is the Torah, the disobedience to Torah, standing in the light of Torah, which exposes nakedness, which exposes sin, which exposes crime. When they partook of the fruit of the tree in which Yahuwah told them not to partake of, they disobeyed Torah. And the Torah immediately exposed their shame, exposed their nakedness, and they went running for their fig leaves. The question is, are you not ashamed? Why aren't some of you running for your fig leaves? Why aren't you running for your fig leaves? We're going to talk about this some. Abba is going to expose you some more. Why aren't you running for your fig leaves? Are you walking in the light of Torah? Are you walking in the light of Torah? Because if you are walking in the light of Torah, Torah is going to expose your nakedness. Now the question is, are you not ashamed? And if you're not ashamed after Torah has exposed your nakedness, then there's something deeply wrong. There is something deeply wrong. Some of you should be running for your fig leaves. Some of you should still have fig leaves on you, being ashamed of your nakedness. Come on, read, little one.
And they heard the voice of Yahuwah Elohim walking about in the garden in the cool of day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahuwah Elohim among the trees of the garden. And Yahuwah Elohim called unto Adam and said to him, where are you? And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked. So I hid myself. And he said, who made you know that you were naked? Have you eaten of the true tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat? And the man said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate. And Yahuwah Elohim said to the woman, what is this you have done? And the woman said, the Nakash deceived me, and I ate. And Yahuwah Elohim said to the Nakash, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all livestock, and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you are to go and eat dust all the days of your life. And I put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall crush your head, and you shall crush his heel. To the woman he say, I greatly increase your sorrow and your conception. Bring forth children and pain, and your desires for your husband, and he does rule over you. And to the man he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, do not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. In toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life. And the ground, shall bring forth thorns and thistles for you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you are to eat bread until you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and dust you return. And the man called his wife's name Kua, because she became the mother of all living. And Yahuwah Elohim made coats of skin for the man and his wife, and dressed them.
Listen here. Listen. So the command was given. And as long as they obeyed the command, all was well. No nakedness was exposed. Chapter 3, the Nakash, who is still at work, who is still leading men astray and leading them to transgress the Torah, convinced them to transgress the Torah. And once they transgressed the light of the Torah, the light shone on them and exposed their nakedness, exposed their uncleanness, and they became ashamed. They became ashamed. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? It's not the Torah exposing your nakedness. I've seen some of your nakedness. I've seen it. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? Nevertheless, their nakedness was exposed, and they ran for fig leaves. They ran for the fig leaves. They heard the voice of Abba walking in the cool of the evening, and they ran and hid themselves and covered themselves, covered their shame, covered their nakedness, covered their sin, their uncleanness with fig leaves. Abba, knowing all things, asked them where they were. He already knew where they were. He already knew where they were. And an interesting thing happens here when he finds them. What did they do? They told them that the reason that they were hiding from him is because they were naked, because they were ashamed. You see, crime, it does this to some people. It does. Your sins causes you to hide your face from Yahuwah. You see, this is what the adversary would do. He would tell you to go hide yourself. Go run for the fig leaves and go hide yourself, because you're too ashamed to face him. See, he's going to disavow you. See, you're not his son. You're not his daughter no more. See, you've committed that one crime that he ain't going to forgive. And so you run somewhere and you're ashamed because you're naked now. Your nakedness have been exposed. You see, this is what the adversary does. And they ran and they hid themselves, being ashamed of their nakedness. And he asked them, why did you hide yourself? He says, because we're naked. They said, because we're naked. Well, who told you that you're naked? Who told you that you were naked? It was the adversary that told us that we were naked. It was because the adversary convinced this woman to partake of the fruit, and this woman convinced me to partake of the fruit. This is why we're naked. But listen here, they are confessing. Yes, they are. They are confessing what happened. Do you understand? They are confessing their crime to Yahuwah. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They are confessing their crime to Yahuwah. And you know what? He forgave them. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He forgave them both. And they both are going to be in the reign. They both are going to be in the kingdom. He forgave them. Not only did he forgive them, you know what else he did? He renewed the everlasting covenant that he had made with them. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. How so, messenger? How so? Without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of crime. Where do you think those two skins came from? Yes, the shedding of blood took place. The shedding of blood took place. Blood always has to accompany covenant, because a covenant is permanent and blood denotes death. And a covenant is not permanent unless the covenant one dies. And so he slew these two animals, and he cut Bar-eat. Bar-eat. He cut. Bar-eat is the Hebrew word for covenant, and it means to cut. It means to cut in two. It means to cut. He cut these animals. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he renewed the everlasting covenant with his son and with his daughter. But listen here, it gets deeper. It gets deeper. You see, those skins, we're talking about circumcision. Those skins did what? They covered the nakedness. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They covered the nakedness in the same way that when a man is circumcised, that skin covers the nakedness, and so it can no longer be pulled back to expose the nakedness. Oh, you see, The circumcision is a sign of the everlasting covenant that he made with Adam and Kua. Not one made with hands. The one made, not one made with hands, but one made without hands. Who put those skins on them? Yahuwah did. He did. That was a circumcision not made with hands. The one of the heart. The one of the heart. Those skins were not made by man. They were made by the hands of Yahuwah. And this too points towards the circumcision of the heart. Come on, somebody, get the Torah. This points towards the circumcision of the heart. And that is a sign of the everlasting covenant that he made with his firstborn, Adam and Kua. This is what is at stake. This is the renewal that we walk into when we partake of the blood and we partake of his body. The everlasting covenant is renewed in us upon our heart. The same everlasting covenant that he made with Adam and Kua. When they committed crime and they confessed, and he forgave them and entered and renewed the everlasting covenant with them. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? If you're not ashamed, that means your nakedness hadn't been exposed. And if your nakedness hadn't been exposed, you ain't in the light of Torah. No, you're not. No, you're not. And that's a deep, deep concern. Give us another precept, little one.
Jubilees 3, 18 to 32.
Jubilees 3, verses what?
18 to 32.
Jubilees 3, verses 18 to 32. Beginning at verse 18. Come on, read, little one.
And after the completion of the 7 years,
yes,
which he had completed there, 7 years exactly.
In the garden, he's talking about Adam here. Read.
And in the 2nd month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman.
So 7 years they obeyed the command and did not know that they were naked. They did not know that they were naked. But the moment they disobeyed Torah, their nakedness was exposed. They then knew that they were naked. Their uncleanness, their sin was exposed. Read, little one.
And the serpent said to the woman, has Elohim commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And she said to it, of all the fruit of the trees of the garden, Elohim has said unto us, eat. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said unto us, you shall not eat thereof, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. For Elohim knows that on the day ye shall eat thereof, your eyes will be opened, and you will be as Elohim, and ye will know good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree, it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and that its fruit was good for food. And she took thereof and ate. And when she had first covered her shame with fig leaves.
And she first covered her what?
Her shame.
Are you not ashamed? Nakedness is shameful. It is sin. Are you not ashamed? If you're not ashamed, perhaps you're not in the light of Torah to expose your nakedness. You talk about Pasakh preparation. Torah is Pasakh preparation. Come on, little one, read.
She gave thereof to Adam, and he ate, and his eyes were open. And he saw that he was naked. And he took fig leaves and sewed them together and made an apron for himself and covered his shame.
And covered his shame. Nakedness is uncleanness. Nakedness is sin. As an uncircumcised man, it is nakedness, it is uncleanness. And no one uncircumcised of flesh, which is the circumcision of the heart, the flesh profits nothing, may partake of his kadush things. Come on, little one, read.
And Elohim cursed the serpent and was wroth with it forever. And he was wroth with the woman because she hearkened to the voice of the serpent and did eat. And he said unto her, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your pains. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your return shall be unto your man, and he will rule over you. And to Adam also he said, because you have hearkened unto the voice of your woman, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, that you should not eat thereof, cursed be the ground for your sake. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to you. And you shall eat your bread in the sweat of your face till you return to the earth from whence you were taken. For earth you are, and unto earth you shall return. And he made for them coats of skin and clothed them and sent them forth from the garden. And on that day on which Adam went forth from the garden,
Listen.
he offered as a sweet savor an offering of frankincense, garbamnum, and stachy and spices in the morning, with the rising of the sun from the day when he covered his shame. And on that day was closed the mouth of all beasts and of all cattle and of all birds and of whatsoever walks and of whatsoever moves, so that they could no longer speak. For they had all spoken one with another with lip and with one tongue. And he sent out of the garden of Adon all flesh that was in the garden of Adon, and all the flesh was scattered according to its kind and according to its types, unto the place which he had been created for them. And to Adam alone did he give the wherewithal to cover his shame.
Listen, to Adam alone did he give the wherewithal to cover his shame. He taught him Torah. Yes, he did. He taught him Torah. He taught him Torah. To Adam alone did he give the wherewithal to cover his nakedness, to cover his uncleanness with the righteous Torah. Come on, little one, read.
The wherewithal to cover his shame of all the beasts and cattle. On this account it is prescribed on the heavenly tablets.
Listen.
As touching all those who know the judgment of the Torah.
Listen.
That they should cover their shame and should not uncover themselves as the other nations
that they
uncover themselves.
That they should cover their nakedness. That they should cover their uncleanness. That they should cover their sins. That they should walk in the light of Torah and not as the Gentiles who are without the Torah. The Gentiles, they don't have the Torah. They don't know that they are naked. So if you are not ashamed, that tells me that perhaps you are a Gentile. Perhaps you are not walking in the light of the Torah. You are a Gentile. Either that or you are totally ignoring the Torah. Or he ain't convicting you of your crimes. And if he ain't convicting you of your crimes, you don't belong to him. You don't belong to him. You are not his. You don't belong to him. The Gentiles walk around naked, both in the physical sense and the spiritual sense. They also walk around naked because their hearts are uncircumcised, because they do not walk in the light of the Torah, which exposes nakedness, which exposes crime. Are you not ashamed? Perhaps you're still a Gentile. Perhaps you are still a Gentile, and if you're still a Gentile not having a circumcised heart, you dare not partake of his kadosh things. They are not for you. They are not for you. They're for his covenant people. Therefore, his covenant people who have the sign of the everlasting covenant that he made with Adam and Kua, which is the circumcision of the heart. Come on, read, little one.
We got John 3:20-21.
John chapter 3, verses 20 and 21. YAHUAH'S chapter 3, verses 20 and 21. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. We're talking about Pasakh preparation. And we're talking about nakedness. Are you not ashamed? Which alludes to the circumcision of the heart, and which alludes to an uncircumcised heart being naked and being unclean, and a circumcised heart being covered, the skin being covered, and thus it being considered clean. Read, little one.
For everyone who is practicing evil matters,
yes,
hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his work should be exposed. But the one doing the truth comes to the light, so that his works are clearly seen, that they have been wrought in Elohim.
Come on, read that again, little one. Read it a little louder.
For everyone who is practicing evil matters hates the light and does not come to the light.
They hate the Torah because they don't want their nakedness to be exposed. Come on, little one, read.
Least his work should be exposed.
Least his nakedness, least his work should be exposed. Read.
But the one doing the truth comes to the light.
But the one doing the truth comes to the light of Torah. Stands there, oh, Abba, expose my nakedness. Because you understand, you who are walking in truth, that if he exposes your nakedness like Adam and Kua, he gonna cover your nakedness if you come to him with a broken and contrite heart. These, O Elohim, you will not despise. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Come on, little one, read.
So that his works are clearly seen, that they have been wrought in Elohim.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Come on, little one. Give us another precept.
Ephesians 5:11-13.
Ephesians 5, verse 11 through 13. Ephesians 5, verse 11 through 13. Read, little one.
And have no fellowship with the fruitless works of darkness.
Yes.
But rather convicted by them. For it is shame to even speak of what is done by them in secret. But all matters being convicted are manifested by the light.
Are manifested by the light.
For whatever is manifested is light.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. The Torah exposes nakedness. It exposes your nakedness. Don't you dare show at the Pasakh being naked, having an uncircumcised heart. Don't you dare. He ain't winking at you no more. The Torah exposes your nakedness. Has he exposed yours? Are you not ashamed? I told you, I've seen some of your nakedness, and you have not shown that you are ashamed, and you're playing with your life. Come on, little one, give us another precept.
We got Ezekiel 16, the whole chapter.
Ezekiel chapter 16, and we're going to read the whole chapter here in its entirety. YAHUAH'S chapter 16, the whole chapter in its entirety. Come on, little one, let's give them a little bit. Let Abba give them a little bit more understanding. Come on.
Again, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, make known Jerusalem her abominations, and say, Thus saith the Master Yahuwah to Jerusalem, your origin and your birth are from the land of Canaan. Your father was an Amorite, and your mother a Kattite. As for your birth, on the day you were born, your navel cord was not cut, nor were you washed in water for cleansing, and you were not rubbed with salt at all.
On the day you were born, you were just thrown and cast out in the field, dirty, bloody, with your navel cord still attached to you. No one had bothered to wash you and rub salt upon you. What happened, little one?
Nor wrapped in cloth at all. No eye felt sorry for you to do any of these for you.
No eye felt sorry for you. Come on, read, little one.
To have compassion on you.
To have compassion on you. Come on.
But you were thrown out into an open field.
But you were thrown out into an open field.
To the loathing of your life on the day that you were born. Then I passed by you and saw you trampled down in your own blood.
Then I passed by you and saw you trampled down in your own blood, Adam and Kua. Come on, read.
And I said to you in your blood, live.
Live. Come on.
And I said to you in your blood, live.
Live.
And I have let you grow like a plant in the field.
Are you not ashamed? Do you understand what he's done for you? Are you not ashamed? You're not ashamed. I seen your fruit. You're still naked. You're buck naked. And Abba sees your nakedness, and I see your nakedness because you're not exposed to the light of Torah. The Torah is not convicting you of your crime. And that shows that your heart is hardened. Your heart is hardened. And if you don't allow him to soften your heart, to circumcise your heart, he's going to strike you down. He is not playing anymore. He's not winking at you. Come on, little one, read.
And you are grown and are great, and you come in the finest ornaments. Breasts were formed, your hair grew, and you were naked and bare. Again I passed by you, and I looked upon you and saw that your time was the time of carnal love.
Yes.
And I spread my skirt over you, and I covered your nakedness.
I covered your nakedness. I entered into an everlasting covenant with you. As a man enters a woman, I entered you and entered into an everlasting covenant with you, and I covered your shame. As a man covers the shame of his wife, I covered your shame. Are you not ashamed? You see, that's what he did for Adam and Kua. A husband covering his wife, covering her shame, covering her nakedness. After they had been exposed to his Torah, and they confessed and they repented, and he renewed the everlasting covenant with them by the shedding of blood and the cutting of that animal and covering their nakedness with animal skins. I covered your shame. I covered your nakedness. Come on, read, little one.
And I swore an oath to you and
I
entered.
swore an oath unto you.
And entered into a covenant with you.
And entered into a covenant with you.
And you became mine, declares the Master Yahuwah.
And you became mine. Are you not ashamed? I see you. Yahuwah sees you across the whole of the Arats. The things that you are doing are not of Yahuwah. They are foolishness. They are unclean. And you don't belong to him. Are you not ashamed? Are you truly walking in the light of Torah? Because if you were truly walking in the light of Torah, your nakedness would be exposed and you would be ashamed. You would be ashamed of what you're doing. You would be ashamed. Come on, little one, read.
And I washed you in water, and I washed off your blood, and I anointed you with oil.
Yes.
And I dressed you in embroidered work, and I gave you sandals of leather, and I wrapped you in fine linen and covered you with silk.
I covered you with silk. Come on.
And I adorned you with ornaments, and I put bracelets on your wrists,
Yes.
and a chain on your neck,
Yes.
and I put a ring on your nose,
Yes.
and earrings in your ears, and a crown of adorning on your head.
Yes.
Thus you are adorned with gold and silver, and your dress was of fine linen and silk, and embroidered cloth.
Oh, he takes good care of his woman. Come on, read, little one.
You ate fine flour and honey and oil, and you were exceedingly beautiful and became fit for royalty. And your name went out among the nations because of your loveliness, for it was perfect by my splendor which I had put on you, declares the Master Yahuwah. But you trusted in your own loveliness.
But you trusted in your own loveliness. You're trusting in your own flesh. You are rejecting the Ruach HaKadosh, and you're depending on the letter of the Torah, which is going to kill you. Which is going to kill you. You have a form of reverence, but you deny the power thereof. You're depending on your own loveliness. You're depending on your own works based upon the works of the flesh. And the flesh is not strong enough to carry the weight of the Torah. Abba has told you that the Torah are practical instructions with a spiritual connotation that he wants us to get. Your flesh can't carry the Torah. Your flesh can't keep it. Your flesh can't obey it. Depending on the loveliness of your flesh, depending on your fancy garments, depending on your fancy head wraps and your zit-zits and your knowledge of the Abba-eat tongue, depending on your tongue, on your mouth, trying to deceive people that you are of Yahuwah, but he sees you. He sees you. He sees all your works, and they are dead to him, and you are naked and you are unclean. Read, little one.
And whored because of your name, and poured out your horns on everyone passing by who would have it. And you took some of your garments and made multicolored high places for yourself, and whored on them, which should not have come about, nor shall it be. And you took your splendid adornments of my gold and my silver that I gave you, and made for yourself images of a male and whored with them. And you took your embroidered garments and covered them, and set my oil and my incense before them, and my food which I gave you, fine flour and oil and honey, which I fed you, you set it before them as sweet incense, and so it was. I
renewed my everlasting covenant with you, Adam and Kuwa. Yasha'al being a representation of the remnant of mankind, being a representation of Adam and Kuwa. I renewed my covenant with you. You were thrown aside and cast aside, and I came and looked and had pity on you.
Thank you, Master.
Cut your umbilical cord and washed you. Rubbed salt on you. I put my ruach on you. I washed you, and I rubbed the salt of the covenant upon you. I put clothes on you. I clothed you in my righteousness. I clothed your nakedness. Oh, and I passed by again, and I saw that the time of carnal love had come, that you had formed breasts and I lifted up your skirt and I entered into a covenant with you. As a man enters a woman, I entered into you and circumcised your heart and entered into an everlasting covenant with you. And this is how you repay me. This is how you repay me. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? You're still operating in dead works. You're still showing your nakedness. Are you not ashamed? I don't care if you've been walking in the truth 1 day or 10 years. I don't care. If you've been walking in the truth 1 day, you can't remain the same. To walk in the truth means to turn from untruth. So that means to repent. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? Come on, read, little one.
And you took your sons and your daughters whom you bore to me, and these you slaughtered as food to them. Were your whorings a small matter, that you have slain my children and gave them up to them by causing them to pass through the fire? And in all your abominations and whoring you did not remember the days of your youth, when you were naked and bare, trampled down in your blood.
When you were naked and bare. Come on, read.
Then it came to be after all your evil, woe, woe to you, declares the Master Yahuwah, that you also built an arched place for yourself and made a high place in every street for yourself. You built your high places at the head of every way and made your loveliness to be loathed. And you parted your feet to everyone who passed by.
Oh, you parted
whorings.
your feet to everybody who passed by in your whoring and your idolatry. Spreading, exposing your nakedness, unashamed. Exposing your nakedness, being unashamed. Come on, read, little one.
And you whored with the sons of Matzraim, your neighbors, great of flesh, and you increased your whorings to provoke me. And see, I have stretched out my hand against you, and withdrew what is lawfully yours, and gave you up to the desire of those who hate you.
I withdrew what is lawfully yours as my wife. I'm taking away your food. I'm taking away your clothing. I'm taking away your marital rights. I ain't gonna clothe you no more. You wanna expose your nakedness? I'm not gonna cover you. I'm gonna leave you naked. I'm gonna divorce you and separate you from my everlasting covenant. Come on, read, little one.
And you gave you up to the desire of those who hate you, the daughters of the Philistines who are ashamed of your wicked way. And you whored with the sons of Ashur without being satisfied. And you whored with them and still were not satisfied. And you increased your whorings as far as the land of traders, Kasdaim. And even then you were not satisfied. How weak is your heart, declares the Master Yahuwah. Seeing you do all this, the deeds of a shameless whore.
The deeds of a shameless whore, who is not ashamed to be naked. Who has no desire or no need for the righteous Torah to expose her shame and to expose her nakedness. She has no need of Torah, the light of Torah, which exposes her shame and her nakedness. Are you not ashamed? I'm not talking about the letter. I told you the letter is the letter of Torah. Torah meaning instructions is our Father teaching us instructions via practical means to teach us a deeper spiritual connotation. Your flesh can't carry the Torah. You're trying to carry the Torah in your flesh, you're still naked. You're still naked, and the question is, are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? Come on, read, little one.
You built your arched places at the head of every way, and built your high place in every street. Yet you were unlike a whore. You scorned a harlot fee, the wife who commits adultery, who takes strangers instead of her husband. To all whores they give gifts, but you gave gifts to all your lovers and bribed them to come to you from all around in your whorings. Thus you are different from other women in your whoring, because no one whores after you, and in you giving an harlot fee, while a harlot fee was not given to you, thus you are different. Therefore, O whore, hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, because your copper was poured out and your nakedness uncovered, and your whoring with your lovers.
Your nakedness uncovered. Come on.
And with the idols of your abomination. And because of the blood of your children which you gave to them.
And why was their nakedness uncovered? Because they transgressed the everlasting Torah. Come on, they were not ashamed of it. They were not ashamed of it. Come on, read, little one.
Therefore, see, I am gathering all your lovers with whom you took pleasure, all those you loved with all those you hated. And I shall gather them from all around and against you, and shall uncover your nakedness to them, and they shall see all of your nakedness.
Yes, I'm going to uncover your nakedness because I am not your husband. And because I'm not your husband, I don't have to cover your nakedness. I don't have to be in covenant with you. I divorce you because you refuse to walk in the light of my righteous Torah, which exposes your nakedness. Come on, little one, read.
And I shall judge you with judgments of adulteresses and shedders of blood. And I shall bring on you the blood of wrath and jealousy. And I shall give you into their hand, and they shall throw your arch places down. And they shall break down your high places. And they shall strip you of your garments. And they shall take your splendid adornments and leave you naked and bare. And they shall bring up an assembly against you. And they shall stone you with stones and thrust you through with their swords, and burn your houses with fire, and execute judgment on you before the eyes of many women. And I shall make you stop whoring and no longer give harlot fees.
And I shall make you stop whoring and no longer give harlot fees. Read.
So I shall bring my wrath to rest upon you. My jealousy shall turn away from you.
Yes.
And I shall be calm and no longer vexed.
Yes.
Because you did not remember the days of your youth, but trouble me with all this. So see, I shall also bring your way on your own head, declares the Master Yahuwah. And I do not do thought for all your abominations. See, all who use proverbs shall use this proverb against you, like mother, like daughter. You are your mother's daughter who despises her husband and her children. And you are the sister of your sisters who despise their husband and their children. Your mother was a Kati and your father an Amarit. And your elder sister Shamarun, she and her daughters, who is dwelling to the north of you. And your younger sister who is dwelling to the south of you is Sadum and her daughters. And have you not walked in their ways and did according to their abominations? But in all your ways you soon become more corrupt than they. As I live, declares the Master Yahuwah, neither your sister Saddam nor her daughters have done as you and your daughters have done. See, this was the crookedness of your sister Sadum. She and her daughter had pride, sufficiency of bread, and unconcerned ease. And she did not help the poor and needy. And they were haughty and did abominations before me. And I took them away when I saw it. And Shamarun did not commit half of your sins, but you have increased your abominations more than they. And by all the abominations which you have done, you made your sisters seem righteous. You also who pleaded for your sisters bear your own shame, because the sin which you committed were more abominable than theirs. They are more righteous than you. So be ashamed too and bear your own shame.
Be ashamed and bear your own shame. Confess your crimes. Be ashamed and bear your own shame. Quit running for the fig leaves and stand there naked. Confess your crimes. Stand in the light of Torah. Confess your crimes, that your husband may cover your shame and forgive your crookedness and cleanse you from all unrighteousness. Read, little one.
Because you have made your sister seem righteous, and I shall turn back their captivity, the captivity of Saddam and her daughters, and the captivity of Shamarun and her daughters, and the captivity of your captives with them, so that you bear your shame and shall blush for all that you did when you comforted them. And your sister Saddam and her daughters return to their former state, and Shamarun and her daughters return to their former state, and you and your daughters return to their former state. Was not your sister Saddam a byword in your mouth in the days of your pride? before your evil was exposed, as the time of the reproach of the daughters of Aram and of all who were around her, and of the daughters of the Philistines who were despising you everywhere. You shall bear your wickedness and your abominations, declares Yahuwah. For thus says the Master Yahuwah, I shall deal with you as you have done, in that you have despised the oath by breaking the covenant. But I shall remember my covenant with you in the days of your youth.
I shall renew and remember my covenant with you, as I did with Adam and Kua, and I'm going to once again cover your shame. I'm going to cover your shame again. Yes, I am. And I'm going to cover your shame with my own dung, with my own blood. I'm going to renew my covenant with you again and cover your shame. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? Come on, read, little one.
And I shall establish an everlasting covenant with you.
Yes.
And you shall remember your ways and be ashamed.
Yes.
When you receive your older and younger sisters, and I shall give them to you for daughters, though not by your own covenant. And I myself shall establish my covenant with you.
Yes.
And you shall know that I am Yahuwah, so that you remember, and you shall be ashamed and never open your mouth anymore because of your shame, when I pardon you for all you have done, declares the Master Yahuwah.
Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. I'm going to let little one catch her breath for just a moment. Barak Yahuwah.
I appreciate it.
Barak Yahuwah. I'm going to let her catch her breath for just a moment. Barak Yahuwah. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. We have to go through some more precepts. Abba is laying his case line by line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we're talking about nakedness, and we're talking about shame, we're talking about uncleanness, we're talking about sin, we're talking about an uncircumcised heart. We're talking about an uncircumcised heart, and we're talking about how that relates to how the Torah exposes nakedness, how the Torah exposes crime, how the Torah exposes uncleanness, how disobedience to Torah exposes your nakedness and your crime and your uncleanness. And if your nakedness is not being exposed, there is a deep, deep problem that you need to consider. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Give us another precept, little one.
Matthew 7:21-23.
Matthew 7. Now it's going to begin to make sense. Come on. Matthew 7. Matthew 7, verses 21 through 23. Come on, read.
Not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, shall enter into the reign of heaven, but he who is doing the desire of my Father in the heavens. Many shall say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and done many mighty works in your name? Then I shall declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness.
I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness. In other words, as we just read Ezekiel 16, I never knew you in the way that a man knows a woman in a carnal love type of way, in the way that Adam knew Kua and she conceived and bore Cain. I never knew you. I never entered you as a man enters a woman, whereby making a circumcision. As when a man enters a virgin and the hymen is broken and there is a circumcision, there is a cut, there is a split, and there is the bleeding, there is blood which seals the covenant, and whereby a man enters into covenant with a woman. See, I ain't entered you. I haven't entered you. I haven't circumcised your heart. Because when I entered you, see, the renewing of the everlasting covenant is done in you. Yes, it is, because there then is a circumcision of your heart, you see. And because your heart is circumcised, what does that mean? It is no longer naked. I am your husband now, and I have put clothes on you. I have clothed your heart, and I have clothed you in righteousness. If I have not entered you, you're not my wife. You're not my wife. And if I have not entered you, this explains why you're still naked and you're not even ashamed. And you're not ashamed because if he's your husband, he's going to expose all your nakedness. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. The living Torah going to expose all your nakedness. Yes, he will. He will not allow you to operate in nakedness and crime. He will expose it all. And that begs the question, because I've seen a lot of your nakedness. That begs the question, is he in you? Is he your husband? Has he circumcised your heart? If you say he is, you're a liar, because I see your fruit. He sees your fruit. You are still naked. You are still unclean. And don't you dare partake of his kadosh things, being uncircumcised of heart. Come on, read, little one.
We got Exodus 21, 7 through 11.
Exodus 21, 7 through 11. Exodus 21, 7 through 11. Come on, read, little one.
And when a man sells his daughter to be a female servant,
Yes.
she does not go out as the male servants do.
Yes.
If she is displeasing in the eye of her master who
Ye-
has engaged her to himself,
Yes.
then he shall let her be ransomed.
Yes.
He shall have no authority to sell her to a foreign people because of him deceiving her. And if he has engaged her to his son, he is to do to her as is the right of daughters.
Yes.
If he takes another wife, her food, her covering, and her marriage rights are not to be diminished. And if he does not do these three for her, then she shall go out for naught without silver.
He is to give her her food, her covering, her clothing, and her marital rights. And if he does not do these three, he is to let her go free without silver. You see, I don't know what you've been listening to or who you've been listening to, but if you are his bride and he has entered your heart and clothed you and covered that nakedness with skin, with clothing, which is the duty of a husband, the text declares that nothing can snatch us from his hands. His Father, who is greater than him, and nothing can snatch us from his hands. You see, he must give us food. He must give us covering. He must give us clothing. And that's what happened to Adam and Kua. And that's what happens when he comes in and he circumcises the heart, when he enters you and enters into covenant via his ruach, as a man enters a woman. He covers that loose skin with skin, and so there is no more nakedness. He covers it with clothing, as a husband must do according to the Torah. He must give us his wife food. He must give her clothing, and he must give us marital rights. And he does give us his wife marital rights when his ruach enters us. When his ruach enters us. And thus, you see, his appointed feast. His appointed feast. This is a husband giving food to his children or to his wife. This is a husband giving the portion to his wife. And if he hasn't entered you and circumcised your wicked heart, whereby your wicked heart is still unclean, you are not his wife, and you are not privy to partake of the portion of food that is reserved for his wife. He gonna get you. He gonna get you. He ain't playing no more. He ain't playing no more. He's not winking no more. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? No, you're not ashamed. And you're not ashamed because the living Torah hasn't entered your heart and circumcised your heart and convicts you of your uncleanness. This is why you're not ashamed. And because of this, you don't belong to him. You're not in covenant with him. The feast, the Pasakh, and all of them are reserved for his covenant wife. It's not for you. It's not for you. He ain't playing no more. And he going to expose your nakedness before all to see. He is going to expose your nakedness and your uncleanness before all to see. Come on, little one, give us another precept.
John 1, 1 through 13.
John chapter 1, YAHUAH'S and John chapter 1, verses 1 through 13. Come on, read, little one.
In the beginning was the Word.
Yes.
And the Word was with Elohim.
Yes.
And the Word was Elohim.
Yes.
He was in the beginning with Elohim.
Yes.
All came to be through him.
Yes.
And without him, not even one came to be that came to be.
Yes.
In him was life. And the life was the light of men.
Yes.
And the light shines in the darkness.
Oh, the Torah shines in the darkness. He is the living Torah. He is the living word. Are you being exposed to the living Torah? He gonna expose all your nakedness. But if he ain't in your heart, he's not exposed to your nakedness, and that explains why you are still operating in nakedness and uncleanness. Come on, read, little one.
And the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from Elohim,
Yes,
whose name was YAHUAH'S.
Yes.
This one came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all might believe through him. He was not that light, but that he might bear witness of that light.
Yes.
He was the true light which enlightens every man coming into the world.
He is the true light, not the letter. He is the true light. He is who exposes your crime, our sin. He, the living Torah. The letter, again, is practical instructions to his children to teach us deeper spiritual connotations that will save our lives. Come on, little one, read.
He was in the world, and the world came to be through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the authority to become children of Elohim.
Come on.
To those believing in his name.
Yes.
Who were born not of blood.
Who were born not of blood.
Or of the desire of flesh.
Or of the desire of flesh.
Nor of the desire of man.
Nor of the desire of man.
But of Elohim.
But of Elohim. Your flesh profits nothing. Your circumcised penis profits nothing. That is the letter. Not for our 8-day-old sons. I have to make that distinction. Our 8-day-old sons must be circumcised because they can bear an 8-day-old infant can bear the weight of the Torah. Yes, he can. And this is why we must be reborn in a like manner and be newborn babes again, not born of flesh, not born of blood, but of water and of ruach, having the Torah written upon our hearts. And receiving a circumcision, a sign of the everlasting covenant, a circumcision not made with hands in the way that Adam and Kua nakedness was covered, not made with hands, made with hands. Born of the Ruach, this is the only way that we can bear the weight of Torah. And this is the only way that we can partake of his Kadush feasts, which are true Torah-like, which are spiritual, which are Ruach-like, which are spiritual. They are spiritual. If your heart ain't circumcised, you don't belong to him. And you're still naked, and you're still unclean, and you better not partake of his Kadush things. Come on, read, little one.
Romans 8, 9 through 10.
Romans 8, 9 through 10. Romans 8, 9 through 10. Beginning at verse 9. Read, little one.
But you are not in the flesh, but in the Ruach, if indeed the Ruach of Elohim dwells in you.
Yes.
And if anyone does not have the Ruach of Mashiach,
yes,
this one is not his. And if Mashiach is in you, the body is truly dead on account of crime.
Yes.
But the Ruach is life on account of righteousness.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. If you don't have his Ruach, then you're not his wife. He has not entered into covenant with you. He's not circumcised your heart. He's not covered your naked heart, your naked, unclean heart. It is not circumcised. He has not entered it. You do not belong to him. And this explains why you're not ashamed. It explains why you're not ashamed. It explains what comes out of your mouth. And it explains your actions. It explains why you're not ashamed, because you don't belong to him. You don't have his root. You're walking around trying to convince people that you have his ruach. But those who have his ruach know that you are a counterfeit. That you're false. Having a false humility. Having a counterfeit ruach. Thinking that you're fooling somebody. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling, least alone Yahuwah. And he is going to expose you. He's going to expose your nakedness. Don't you dare come to Pasakh uncircumcised with an uncircumcised heart. You must be circumcised. This food, this portion is for his wife. It's for his covenant wife. It is not for Gentiles who are not ashamed of nakedness. He doesn't cover the nakedness and the shame of Gentiles. They are not his wife. And if you are his wife, if he has entered your heart, then he will expose all nakedness. He will not allow his wife to walk around naked, because as a husband, he is commanded. He is the Torah. He is the living Torah, and he must obey himself. A husband must cover his wife with clothing and not leave her naked. He must clothe her and not leave her naked. Come on, read, little one.
1 Corinthians 2, 11 through 16.
1 Corinthians 2, 11 through 16. 1 Corinthians 2, 11 through 16. Beginning at verse 11, read, little one.
For who among men knows the thoughts of a man except the root of the man that is in him? So also the thoughts of Elohim no one has known.
That's right.
Except the root of Elohim. And we have received not the root of the world, but the root that is from Elohim, in order to know what Elohim has favorably given us, which we also speak not in words which man's wisdom teaches, but with the Kadosh root teaches, comparing spiritual matters with spiritual matters. But the natural man does not receive the matters of the root of Elohim, for they are foolishness to him. The natural man cannot receive the things of Elohim because they are foolishness to him. Read. He is unable to know them because they are spiritually discerned. But he who is spiritual discerns indeed all matters. Yes. But he himself is discerned by no one. For who knows the mind of Yahuwah? Who knows the mind of Yahuwah? Who knows the Torah? Come on. Who shall instruct him? Who shall instruct him? Come on. But we have the mind of Mashiach. But we have the mind of Mashiach. Come on. That's it. But we have the mind of Mashiach. You can't know the Torah. You can't know the will and the desire of Yahuwah without having his ruach. The flesh, the Torah, is too heavy to bear for the flesh. You cannot know the mind and the will and the desire of Yahuwah without having his ruach, who exposes the nakedness and causes us to feel ashamed and convicted and to come like Adam and Kua and confess our crimes. Confess them to him so that he will forgive us of our crime and cover our nakedness. But we also must repent. We also must repent. But he must be in you. His ruach must be in you in order to convict you of crime, in order to reveal your nakedness. It is the Torah. It is the Torah that exposes nakedness. It is our disobedience to Torah that exposes nakedness. When we disobey the Torah, he comes to us and convicts us and exposes our nakedness, exposes our crime, so that we may stand there naked before him and confess and repent with a broken and contrite heart, so that he will forgive us of our crimes and cover our nakedness as any good husband would do. Give us another precept, little one. Matthew 18, 15 through 17.
Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 17. Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 17. Beginning at verse 15, read, little one.
And if your brother commits crime against you,
listen.
Go and convict him.
Go and convict him.
Between you and him alone.
Between you and him alone.
If he hears you, you have gained your brother.
If he hears you, you have gained your brother.
But if he does not hear, take with you one or two witnesses, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, every word might be established. And if he refuses to hear them, say it to the assembly. And if he refuses even to hear the assembly, let him be to you like the nations and a tax collector.
Now let's get some understanding of the Torah. Let's get some understanding right here of the Torah. I have a note right here. I believe, little one, read that note for me.
Okay, guys. Oh.
I didn't have the note there yet?
No.
What I have next?
You have Yehukanan 14, 15 through 18.
Go down and get my note, because it should have been there.
Okay.
Barak Yahuwah.
Yahusha, who is Yahuwah?
Yeah, Yahusha, who is Yahuwah. Come on.
Who is the Ruach HaKadosh?
Who is the Ruach HaKadosh?
Came as our brother.
Came as our brother. Yes, he did. He did. Come on.
He came to redeem his brother.
He came to redeem his brother.
And to raise up seed for his brother.
And to raise up seed for his brother.
Adam is his brother.
Adam is his brother.
And Kua is whom Yahusha went into.
And Kua is whom Yahusha went into.
Yasharal is Kua.
Yasharal is Kua.
As our brother, he comes to us.
As our brother, He comes to us.
And convicts us when we have committed crime.
And convicts us when we have committed crime. So as our brother, he came to raise up seed for his dead brother. He came to redeem his brother in accordance with Torah. And as our brother, when we commit crime against him, he comes and convicts us via the Ruach HaKadosh. Who is he? The Ruach HaKadosh is the spirit of Messiah. Yahusha is Yahuwah. Yes, he does. Now let's get some understanding. Go back up to John 14, little one.
John 14?
Mm-hmm. Or the next text right under Matthew 18.
Okay. John 14, 15 through 18.
John 14 verses what?
15 through 18.
15 through 18. Read.
If you love me, you shall guard my commands.
If you love me, you shall guard my commands.
And I shall ask the Father.
And I shall ask the Father.
And he shall give you another helper.
And he shall give you another helper.
To stay with you forever.
To stay with you forever.
The Ruach of truth.
The Ruach of truth.
Whom the world is unable to receive.
Whom the world is unable to receive.
Because it did not see him.
Because it did not see him.
Or know him.
Or know him.
But you know him.
But you know him.
For he stays with you.
For he stays with you.
And shall be in you.
And shall be in you. Come on.
I shall not leave you orphan.
I shall not leave you orphan.
I am coming to you.
I am coming to you. Come on.
That's it.
Barak Yahuwah. Give him more understanding, little one. What is it? John 16?
16, 1 through 8.
1 through 8. Come on. John 16, 1 through 8. Come on. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
These words I have spoken to you.
These words I have spoken to you.
So that you do not stumble.
So that you do not stumble.
They shall put you out of the congregation.
They shall put you out of the congregation.
But an hour is coming when everyone who kills you.
But an hour is coming when everyone who kills you.
Think he is rendering service to Elohim.
Thinks he is rendering service to Elohim.
And this they shall do to you.
And this they shall do to you.
Because they did not know the Father nor me.
Because they did not know the Father nor me.
But I have said these words to you.
But I said these words to you.
So that when the hour comes, you remember that I told them to you.
So that when the hour comes, you will remember that I told them to you.
And these words I did not say to you at the beginning.
And these words I did not say to you at the beginning.
For I was with you.
For I was with you.
But now I go away to him who sent me.
But now I go away to him who sent me.
And not one of you asked me, where are you going?
And not one of you asked me where I'm going.
But because I have said these words to you.
Because I've said these words to you.
Grief has filled your heart.
Grief has filled your heart.
But I say the truth to you.
But I say the truth to you.
It is better for you that I go away.
It is better for you that I go away.
For if I do not go away.
For if I do not go away.
The helper shall not come to you at all.
The helper shall not come to you at all.
But if I go.
But if I go.
I shall send him to you.
I shall send him to you.
And having come.
He
shall convict the world concerning crime.
He shall convict the world concerning crime. He shall expose nakedness. He will expose the nakedness of the heart. So as a brother going to his brother when he commits a crime to him against him to convict him. And if he does not repent, he goes and he gets two or more witnesses to convict that man. If that man does not repent, then he goes and is brought before the congregation. If he does not repent, then he is treated as the Gentiles. What does that mean? He removes his covering. He ain't got to cover your nakedness. He is not your husband. He does not have to cover your nakedness. The Gentiles are not ashamed of their nakedness. The Gentiles are not his wife. He does not have to cover their nakedness. And so it is he, the living Torah, who convicts us of crime. In other words, who exposes nakedness. And that shows me the reason that you are not convicted of crime, convicted of your nakedness, because you don't know him and he don't know you, and he has not entered your heart and clothed your heart and circumcised your heart. You don't know him. You don't know him. And you are trying to partake of the children's food, being an unclean, uncircumcised dog. You're trying to partake of the children's food. And in that scripture which is being referenced, you see at least that woman who was a Gentile, you see at least she humbled herself. See, I have seen no humility in you. I see a false humility, but I haven't seen a true humility. No, I haven't seen a true one. A false humility comes from a counterfeit spirit. A true humility comes from the Ruach HaKodesh. This woman had a true humility, and at least she humbled herself and said, but yea, master. But even the little dogs eat the crumbs from the children's table. She humbled herself, you see, and salvation came to her house that day. When the Ruach HaKodesh entered her house and healed her daughter. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. But you ain't bearing the fruits of righteousness. You still showing your nakedness. You're still showing that he has not entered you, thus having salvation having come to your house. He has not entered you, because had he entered you, then he, as your brother, as the text declares, would convict you of crime, would convict you of nakedness. And as your husband, he would cover your nakedness. He would cover your crimes. Yes, Yahusha, who is Yahuwah, who is the Ruach HaKodesh, came as our brother to redeem his brother in accordance with the Torah, to redeem his brother, to raise up seed in the place of his dead brother, who is the first Adam, and to convict his brother of all crimes, convict his brother of sin, to expose his nakedness. This is Torah. This is Torah. Come on, read, little one.
We got Leviticus 25, 47 to 48.
Leviticus 25, verses
47 to 48.
Verses 47 and 48. Leviticus 25, verses 47 and 48. Let's listen to the Torah. This is Torah. Let's listen now to the Torah. Leviticus 25, verses what?
47 to 48.
Beginning at verse 47, read, little one.
Now when a sojourner or a settler with you becomes rich,
yes,
and your brother with him becomes poor,
yes,
and sells himself to the settler or sojourner with you,
yes,
or to a member of the sojourner's clan,
yes,
after he has been sold, there is a right of redemption to him. One of his brothers does redeem him.
One of his brothers does redeem him. You see, we were sold into captivity. We were sold into slavery to Hashatan, who was the Pharaoh of Egypt, by our father Adam. But our brother, Yahusha, we must make this distinction. Yahusha is Yahuwah. He came as our brother, in the form of our brother, to redeem his brother who had been sold into captivity to Hashatan, who had been sold into harsh slavery into Masraim. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. This is the Torah. And thus, when your brother comes to you, when you sin against your brother, he is to come to you and convict you. And if your brother, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach of the Mashiach resides in you, he is going to convict you of crime and expose your nakedness. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Come on, little one, read.
Deuteronomy 25, 5 through 6.
Deuteronomy 25, verses 5 and 6. Deuteronomy 25, verses 5 and 6. Come on, read.
When brothers dwell together,
yes,
and one of them has died and has no son, the widow of the dead man shall not become a stranger outside her husband. Brother does go into her, and shall take her as his wife and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And it shall be that the firstborn son which she bears does rise up for the name of his dead brother, so that his name is not blotted out of Yasharal.
Barak Yahuwah. He also came as our brother, as the brother of Adam, to raise up seed in his stead, because Adam died. And so he came to raise up seed for his dead brothers. Not seed born of flesh and blood, but a seed born of water and of ruach. Of water and of ruach, righteous seed, righteous children in the stead of his dead brother. Where his brother committed crime and partook of the fruit, he did not commit crime and partake of the fruit. And thus he is come to raise up a righteous seed on behalf of his brother, born of water and of ruach. And I only mention these precepts to support, to give you some understanding of the deeper connotation of when a man commits crime against his brother is to go to him and convict him. And if he is not convicting you, he has not entered your heart. You don't belong to him. You don't belong to him. You're a Gentile. You're still naked. And this food is not for Gentiles. It's for his wife alone. This is the portion for his wife. It ain't for you. And he's going to deal with you. He's going to get you. He's no longer winking. He's going to get you. He's going to get you. And so this is Pasakh preparation. You have time to fall on your face and to seek him unlike you've ever sought him before. Unlike you've ever sought him before. To have your nakedness exposed before it is exposed before all to see. Come on, little one, read.
Isaiah 53, 10 through 11.
Isaiah 53, Yeshayahu chapter 53, verse 10 through 11. Yeshayahu chapter 53, verses 10 through 11. Beginning at verse 10, read, little one.
But Yahuwah was pleased to crush him.
Yes.
He laid sickness on him.
Yes.
Then when he made himself an offering for guilt, he would see a seed.
He would what?
He would see a seed.
He would what?
He would see a seed.
He came in accordance with Torah to raise up seed on behalf of his dead brother. He went into his wife. His wife is Kua. Kua is Yasha'al. Yasha'al is Kua. Yasha'al is his wife. Come on, learn Torah. Learn the deeper spiritual connotation of Torah. Read, little one.
He would prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah prosper in his hand. He would see the results of the suffering of his life and be satisfied.
Yes.
Through his knowledge, my righteous servant.
Through his knowledge, my righteous servant.
Makes many righteous.
Makes many righteous.
And he bears their crookedness.
And he bears their crookedness. He came to raise up righteous seed in the stead, in the place of his dead brother, Barak Yahuwah, so that the inheritance which is given to the firstborn, Yasha'al being the firstborn, Yasha'al being Kua, would continue, because this covenant is everlasting. Barak Yahuwah. Come on, read, little one.
Hebrews 3, 15.
Hebrews chapter 3, verse 15. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 15. Come on, read, little one.
While it is said today, if you hear his voice.
While it is said today, if you hear his voice, and you are hearing his voice today.
Do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion.
Do not harden your hearts as in the rebellion. You are hearing his voice today. You are hearing him speak through his servant, who is speaking via the inspiration of the Ruach HaKodesh, via the anointing of the Ruach HaKodesh. And it is the anointing that destroys the yoke. If you hear his voice today, don't harden your heart. Do not lightly esteem his Kadush things. You ensure that your heart is circumcised. You ensure that you are operating in the light of the Torah so that your nakedness is exposed. Don't you show up there naked. Don't you show there with an uncircumcised heart. No one uncircumcised may partake of his Kadush things. Come on, read, little one.
2 Corinthians 3, 1 through 6.
2 Corinthians 3, verses 1 through 6. 2 Corinthians 3, verses 1 through 6. Beginning at verse 1, read, little one.
Are we to begin to recommend ourselves again? Or do we need, as some, letters of recommendation to you or from you? You are our letter, having been written in our hearts, known and read by all men, making it obvious that you are a letter of Mashiach, served by us, written not with ink, but by the Ruach of the living Elohim, not on tablets of stone, but on fleshly tablets of the heart. And such trust we have toward Elohim through the Mashiach. Not that we are competent in ourselves to reckon any matter as from ourselves, but our competence is from Elohim, who also made us competent as servants of a renewed covenant, not of the letter, but of the Ruach. For the letter kills, but the Ruach gives life.
The letter kills, but the Ruach gives life. The Torah are practical instructions to his people that our Father gives to us to teach us deeper spiritual matters. Deeper spiritual matters. You can wear all of the linen garments on this flat plain earth, but if you're not doing righteousness, and linen represents righteousness, but if you're not doing righteousness, which you can only do in Ruach, you're going to burn in those linen garments. The linen garments is the letter. Having the Torah written upon your heart is the spirit. Slaughtering a lamb is the letter. Discerning the body of the Hamashiach is Ruach. It's Ruach. The letter is going to kill you. The letter is going to kill you. It is going to kill you. It is given to instruct his people in practical matters in order to teach us deeper spiritual matters. Your head wrap won't save you. Your knowledge of the Abarite tongue is not going to save you. I would argue that we don't even know the Abarite tongue. The text declares that he is going to restore a pure language in the earth. He hasn't done that yet. He hasn't restored a pure language in the earth, but you make your boast in it. You make your boast in the outer appearances and the outer things and the outer cup. You make your boast in the letter, which is going to kill you, because you don't understand the deeper spiritual matters in which the letter is trying to teach us, and which shall all his messenger teaches, and which shall all his messenger teaches the deeper spiritual matters of the Torah, which will save your life. The letter's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. Unless the Torah has been written upon your heart and he has circumcised your heart, whereby he now begins to convict you of crime. He begins to teach you the deeper spiritual matters of the Torah. If you ain't operating in this, the letter's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. You cannot mix all your fabrics. But if you're not making a distinction between the clean and the unclean, that's still going to kill you. It's still going to kill you. It is he who teaches us to make a distinction between the clean and the unclean. It is he who teaches us these things. It is he who teaches us all things, and convicts us of all things unclean. It is he and he alone who does this. And if he isn't doing this, then your heart is not circumcised and you are not fit to partake of his kadosh things. Read, little one.
Romans 7:14.
Romans 7:14. Romans 7:14. Read, little one.
For we know that the Torah is spiritual, but I am fleshly, sold under sin.
The Torah is spiritual. The Torah is ruach-like. It is ruach-like. And it is too heavy. It is too heavy for the flesh to bear. It is too heavy for the flesh to bear. The flesh can't bear Torah. The only way to bear Torah is in ruach and in truth. Read, little one.
We got Matthew 23:23 to 39.
Matthew 23, verses
23 to 39.
23 to 39.
Woe to you, scribes.
Matthew 23, verses 23 to 39. Read, little one.
Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees.
Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees. And there's still many of you around. There's still many of you around. Read, little one.
Hypocrites.
Hypocrites.
Because you tithe the mint and the anise and the cumin.
Because you tithe the mint and the anise and the cumin.
And have neglected the weightier matters of the Torah.
And have neglected the weightier matters of the Torah.
The right ruling and the compassion and the belief.
The right ruling and the compassion and the belief. You see, you can't obey the Torah in your flesh. You can't do it. You see, this is the letter. Tithing is the letter. Tithing a tenth is the letter. Tithing is the letter. Keep reading, little one.
These need to have been done without neglecting the others.
The letter should have been done without neglecting the others, without neglecting the weightier matters, the right ruling and the compassion and the belief. What is he saying?
Blind guides.
Hold up. What is he saying? What is he saying? If you are only obeying the letter, if you are only tithing just to be seen, as many of you Pharisees are, you just do things to be seen by others. You just want position. You just want importance. You just want people to believe that you're righteous. You want people to believe that you're righteous because you're obeying the letter, because you have the garments on, because you have the right language. You want people to believe that you're righteous. But you're not righteous because you do not have the righteous ruach in you, and you're only tithing to be seen. You're not tithing because you have compassion on the poor, on the widows, on the strangers of the land and of the Levites. You have no concern about them eating. You're not tithing from a place of compassion. You're tithing only to be seen, just like a typical Pharisee. Come on, read, little one.
Blind guides, straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel.
Yes.
Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because
Yes.
you clean the outside of the cup and dish.
Because you clean the outside the cup of the dish. You clean the outside of it. The Ruach HaKodesh, the living water, has not entered you and cleansed the inward man and cleansed the inside of the cup. You only concerned with the outer appearance. Oh, you say the right words. You said you know his name. You Barak Yahuwah. You Barak Yahusha. But your fruit tells otherwise. Your fruit tells otherwise. Your fruit tells that you are a Gentile. Your fruit tells that you are a Gentile, only concerned with the outer appearance and only concerned with trying to fool people into thinking that you are righteous. Come on, read, little one.
But inside they are filled with plunder and unrighteousness.
But inside they are filled with plunder and unrighteousness. Come on.
Blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup.
Blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup.
And dish.
And dish.
So that the outside of them become clean too.
So that the outside becomes clean too. The only way to clean the inside is via the living water of the Ruach HaKodesh. Come on, read.
Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly indeed look well, but inside are filled with dead men's bones.
But inside are filled with dead man's bones. You ain't fit to partake of his offerings. Come on, read.
And all uncleanness. So you too outwardly indeed appear righteous to men.
The flesh profits nothing. He don't care about your circumcised penis. He wants a circumcised heart. And if it isn't circumcised, it's still naked. It is still unclean. It is still unclean. And out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. By their fruit you will know them. He sees you. You're not hidden. You're not hidden. Are you not ashamed? No, you're not ashamed. Because your brother is not convicting you and you don't belong to him, and that food, the offerings are not for you. Read, little one.
But inside you are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and decorate the monuments of the righteous and say, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would have taken part with them in the blood of prophets. Thus you bear witness against yourselves that you are sons of those who did murder the prophets, and you fill up the measure of your fathers. Serpents, brood of adders, how would you escape the judgment of Gehenna? Because of this, see, I send you prophets and wise men and scholars of scripture. Some of them you shall kill and impale, and some of them you shall flog in your congregations and persecute from city to city, so that on you should come all the righteous blood shed on the earth, from the blood of the righteous Habal to the blood of Zechariah, son of Barakah, whom you murdered between the dwelling place and the slaughter place. Truly I say to you, all this shall come upon this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, killing the prophets and stoning those who are sent to her. How often I wish to gather your children together, the way a hen gathers her chickens under her wings, but you would not see. Your house is left to you laid waste. For I say to you, from now on you shall by no means see me, until you say, blessed is he who is coming in the name of Yahuwah.
Baruch haba basham Yahuwah. Baruch haba basham Yahuwah. You working, you are focused on the outer cup, but your heart is still unclean. Your heart is still naked. You show it by your fruits. You show it by your fruits. You show it by your fruits. And a voice is crying out in the wilderness this night to cause you to teshuvah, to cause you to repent, to cause you to take an introspective look at yourself. And if you are not ready to partake of this Pasakh, then do not partake of it. Do not partake of it. Do not lightly esteem it. Celebrate it the second month and the 14th day. But do not celebrate the Pasakh if your heart is uncircumcised, if your heart is still naked. Do not do it. He is no longer winking. He is no longer winking. And he is getting ready to make a great distinction and a great separation. And he's getting ready to expose the nakedness of many. Do not do it. Do not lightly esteem it. Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? Are you not ashamed? And if you're not ashamed, that means that the living Torah is not in you and convicting you of all nakedness. Because if he were, either you would be ashamed Either you would be ashamed either you would be ashamed and not operating in the uncleanness, the open uncleanness that you're operating in. Teshuvah, and repent and seek his face unlike ever before. Read, little one.
The last one, speak only the living waters.
Barak Yahuwah. It is only the Ruach who can cleanse that inner cup, who can wash that inner cup, and who can circumcise the heart, which is symbolic of a husband clothing his wife, a circumcision not made with hands, symbolic of the everlasting covenant that he entered into with Adam and Kuah when he made those animal skins for them. He made those animal skins, and those animal skins were not made with hands. It is symbolic of the skin covering the penis. A circumcised man, the skin of a circumcised man covering the penis in such a way that the nakedness of the penis can no longer be clothed. If he's not your husband, this food is not yours. If he's not your husband, then you are still considered unclean. He called them dogs. He called them dogs and swine. You're still unclean. And if he's not your husband, you're not in covenant with him. And these are the feast days for his covenant people. They're not for Gentiles. They're not for Gentiles. They're not for the unclean. They're not for those who are unashamed of nakedness. It is not for those. It is not for those. Take an introspective look. Consider your ways. Consider your ways. We're 4 weeks out. Consider your ways. Don't show up with uncleanness upon you. Do not show up with a naked, unclean, uncircumcised heart. Master Yahuwah, I thank you for this time. I thank you for the opportunity to stand before your people as an earthen vessel. I pray, Master, that your words that you have spoken this night through your servant, that not one will fall void to the ground, but that they will accomplish that which you have sent them forth to do. I pray that these seeds would not fall, none of them will fall by the wayside, that not one seed will fall on stony ground, that not one seed will fall amongst thorns, but that this seed will fall on tilled and fertilized soil, so that your living water, the water of your Ruach HaKadosh, will come and water that seed, so that it grows up to become a mighty tree, producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it. To those of you on YouTube, once again, we're grateful that you have stopped by to join us for YAHUAH'S Remnant Midweek Gathering. It is my prayer that these words, that this sword, that it is cutting whom it needs to cut, that it is reaching whom it needs to reach to the four corners of the earth. I pray that Abba is giving you eyes to see, and ears to hear, and a heart to understand, to know that this is a mu'adah, and that he is no longer winking, that he is no longer playing with us. Until the next time, to those of you on YouTube, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yashar'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it, so be it, so be it.